You are standing in a room with no windows. You look at a photograph of your grandfather. You remember him as a hero who fought for the freedom of your land. But the book in your hand says he was a criminal. Every person outside that door believes the book. They tell you that your memories are a sickness. Soon, you will start to believe them too. By the end of this journey, you will realize that your soul has been hacked. Your past is not yours. Your identity is a manufactured product. The most terrifying weapon ever created is not a nuclear bomb. It is the eraser. It is the invisible hand that reaches into your mind and rewrites who you are. This is the engineering of forgetting. It is happening to you right now. Think about the street where you live. Do you know who lived there 100 years ago? Do you know the name of the woman who cried on that corner during the Great War? You likely do not. This silence is not accidental. Dominant powers understand a fundamental psychological truth. If you can control the narrative of the past, you own the potential of the future. They do not just burn books anymore. They flood the world with so much noise that the truth becomes a whisper in a hurricane. You are drowning in information, yet you are starving for history. This is the first stage of the process. It is called Mnemonic Decapitation. They cut off the head of your history to make your body easier to lead. How does a whole nation forget its own blood? It starts with the children. Imagine a classroom. The walls are bright. The teacher is smiling. The textbook is brand new. It smells of fresh ink and progress. But inside those pages, certain names, certain battles have been repositioned as minor skirmishes. The heroes of yesterday are painted as obstacles to the glory of tomorrow. This is the psychological mechanism of source monitoring error. The brain is tricked into forgetting where a piece of information came. This is the psychological mechanism of source monitoring error. The brain is tricked into forgetting where a piece of information came from. Eventually, the lies taught in school become the natural truths of the household. You begin to argue with your parents. You tell them their stories are old-fashioned. You tell them they are wrong. You have become an agent of the regime without even knowing it. The engineering of forgetting relies on the Zeigarnik effect in reverse. Usually, the brain remembers unfinished tasks. But when a regime provides a complete, polished, and shiny new history, the brain feels a sense of closure. It stops searching for the missing pieces. It accepts the pre-packaged identity because searching for the truth is painful. It causes cognitive dissonance. It makes your skin crawl and your head throb. To avoid this pain, you choose the comfortable lie. But wait, how is this possible on such a massive scale? How can millions of people ignore the evidence of their own eyes? The answer lies in the spiral of silence. When you see a monument being torn down, you feel a pang of loss. The answer lies in the spiral of silence. When you see a monument being torn down, you feel a pang of loss. But you look around, everyone else is cheering, or they are looking at their phones. You feel the cold sweat of isolation. You realize that to speak up is to become an outcast, so you remain silent. This silence is interpreted by your neighbor as agreement. The circle closes. The memory is buried under the horror is just beginning. Once the past is erased, a vacuum is created. The human mind cannot exist without a story. We are narrative creatures. We see your insights in every discussion. A 5-second comment from you is the vital engine that keeps this truth reaching the elite group. If you value this clarity, the bell is your shield. Your engagement ensures that the engineering of forgetting does not claim this space. Now, look closer at the screen.
The horror is just beginning. Once the past is erased, a vacuum is created.
The human mind cannot exist without a story. We are narrative creatures. If you take away a man's ancestors, he will look for new ones. This enemy is often the very people who remember the truth. They turn brother against brother. They make you feel that your new identity is a privilege. You are not. This pride is the hook that keeps you in the cage. Consider the role of language. They change the memory of the event. They call an invasion a liberation. They call an ethnic cleansing a demographic adjustment.
You start using these words. They feel modern. They feel sophisticated. This pride is the hook that keeps you in the cage. Consider the role of language in this manipulation.
Words are the containers of history. When a regime changes the meaning of a word, they change the memory of the event.
They call an invasion a liberation. They call an ethnic cleansing a demographic adjustment. They use the cold, clinical language of bureaucracy to hide the warmth of human blood.
You start using these words. They feel modern. They feel sophisticated.
But every time you use them, you are hammering a nail into the coffin of your heritage. You are speaking the language of your own erasure. There is a concept in you choose the beautiful cinema. You adopt the false memory as your own. You become a character in a script written by a committee of psychologists and politicians. What happens next might shock you. The final stage of identity erasure is not the denial of the past.
After 3 sessions, you will describe the wind in your hair and the fear in your heart.
Now imagine a regime doing this with digital media. They use deepfakes. They use edited archives.
They show you a version of history that is beautiful and cinematic. It is much more attractive than the messy, dirty reality of the past. You choose the beautiful cinema. You adopt the false memory as your own. You become a character in a script written by a committee of psychologists and politicians. What happens next might shock you. The final stage of identity erasure is not the denial of the past. It is the celebration of its destruction. The regime makes you feel like a pioneer. They tell you that you are the first generation to truly see the light. They make you look back at your ancestors with pity or disgust. You feel superior to the people who gave you life. This is the ultimate triumph of the engineering of forgetting. When the victim loves the hand that erased him, the work is complete. You are now a tabula rasa, a blank slate, ready to be written upon by the interests of the ruling power. You might feel that you are safe. You might think your mind is too strong for these tactics. But think about the last 3 years. How many things have you forgotten? How many names of leaders have disappeared from your mind? How many scandals that felt like the end of the world have vanished into the digital abyss? This is the ticking bomb of our era. The pace of forgetting is accelerating. We are losing our collective memory at a rate of 1,000% faster than any generation in human history. We are becoming a people with no shadow, and a man with no shadow is a man who can be made to disappear without a trace. The dominant powers do not want you to have a long memory. A man with a memory is dangerous. A man with a memory can compare the promises of today with the failures of yesterday. A man with a memory has a foundation that cannot be moved by the winds of propaganda. That is why they focus so much energy on the engineering of forgetting. They want you to live in a perpetual now, a state of constant emotional reaction where you have no time to reflect. They want you to be a consumer of the present, not a guardian of the past. The coldness of this steel-like manipulation is that it feels like freedom. You feel free from the burden of history. You feel light. But this lightness is the lightness of a leaf detached from its tree. You are floating, yes, but you are also dying. The nutrients of your identity are gone. Soon you will hit the ground and be trodden into the mud. The regime will then plant a new tree on top of you, a tree that produces the fruit they want, a tree that has no memory of the soil it grew from. This is the psychological warfare of the 21st century. It is not fought with guns. It is fought with textbooks, algorithms, and the subtle repositioning of statutes. It is fought in the quiet moments when you choose the easy news over the hard truth. It is fought every time you allow a piece of your heritage to be mocked or forgotten. You are the front line. Your mind is the battlefield. The stakes are nothing less than the survival of your soul. As you sit there, you might feel a sense of dread. Good. That dread is the last part of you that is still real. It is the part of you that knows something is missing. It is the part of you that remembers the room with no window. The engineering of forgetting is not about the past. It is about owning your future. Subscribe and comment to join our elite group of truth seekers.
You are still standing in that room with no window.
But you must act quickly. The eraser is always moving. The ink is always drying.
The engineering of forgetting is not about the past. It is about owning your future. Subscribe and comment to join our elite group of truth seekers. You are still standing in that room with no windows.